This is participant 004. Okay, thank you for participating in this survey. The aim of this research is to explore and understand the experiences of mentees within an Asian postgraduate medical setting, looking at particularly at the social cultural concepts. So, as the first question, can you please describe your mentorship journey in the residency program?
My mentorship journey. So I was assigned one because usually they'll ask us if we have any preferences, but I had none. I just said someone nice.
Okay.
So they gave me my mentor, and I've had my mentor since the start of my residency. It has been, I would say it's okay. I had some issues with passing MMed, so she was very supportive and not too overbearing. So I think we get along okay. Yeah, she's not super, like some, I think mentors are very on the ball and then they will keep asking to meet you, so I don't think she cares that way, but it's like whenever you ask to meet her, then she's always available.
Okay, so you chose to have your mentor assigned to you.
Yes.
Is there a reason why you chose that rather than?
Because I had no fixed interest in any subspec, and I mean I don't know any particular person super well that I wanted to ask for it, so I thought whatever they assign, it's okay.
But you still had one criteria, you said?
Nice, yeah. Someone nice.
Okay.
I guess it should be somebody that's easy to talk to and yeah.
Okay. You also mentioned your mentor was supportive. How was your mentor supportive?
She was supportive because every time there are any issues brought up or like any difficulties with exams or work, she's not super judgmental, as in she always wants to hear my side of the story before giving any advice. And then because some other seniors that you work with and stuff like that, you can tell that they want you to do things a certain way. For her, it's more like she asks about what you feel like you should be doing, what you think can be done better, and then together you try and come up with a solution. So I appreciate that, because it's not like she's telling me what to do, she's just trying to suss out what she thinks and what I think is the best way to move forward with any issues.
Okay. How would you describe your initial interaction with your mentor?
Be constipated, I don't know, like awkward, because I guess I had not really worked with her, so it was very formal. I mean, just getting stuff done, because we always have to finish our evaluations on a 6-monthly basis, so just meeting up for that, and then any issues and going through all the paperwork. So at first it was very fixed so just going through the motions of whatever needs to be accomplished, whatever paperwork we need to finish.
And how has this evolved?
Now, because it's been many years, we get done with the paperwork first, but then we'll just check in on how everything is going, any problems at work, and then chit chat a bit, and then so I mean the sessions are never very long. She's very busy also, but it's just a lot more easygoing now. Like I don't have to feel scared when anything surfaces, and it's easy to share with her.
Okay, so you mentioned your supervisor is busy, so how many sessions do you get?
A year? Like not that many, like 2 to 3. During the period when I was failing exams, then we would meet more often, because she would just like help me think of my plan for the next exam.
Okay, so 2 to 3 meetings
a year.
a year. How long are these interactions like?
It lasts from half an hour to an hour. I don't think it usually goes over an hour.
Okay. Do you ever feel bad that you need to approach your, because you mentioned she was busy?
Yeah, but usually it's like it needs to be done, so then I have no choice. But yes, I think sometimes you feel bad because she's quite busy, so but no choice.
How does the process usually go?
Usually I either drop her a text or an email, and then at the start I used to email her or call up her secretary. But after a while, then I would usually, it's faster because she replies to email very, very quickly, so it's probably fastest to email her. Yeah, and then if she doesn't reply, then I'll just check with the secretary if she's on leave or something.
Yeah. Okay. And you mentioned that more recently your meetings involve chit chat, right? So what do you usually talk about?
Oh, we usually talk about travel because she likes to travel and I like to travel.
Okay.
So then, and so part of the reason why it's hard to get her is because nowadays she's taking quite a lot of leave also. So then I'll ask her where she's gone, and then she'll ask me where I've gone, and then we'll talk about non-medical things. Yeah, that's mainly we talk about travel because we both like to travel.
Okay, so there are some common interests.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I think it's usually just work, and then after that we just talk for a little bit, and then that's it.
Right. Okay. You also mentioned about the paperwork, you had to get through them, right? So what are your feelings about
our paperwork?
Yeah.
Feelings, I guess it's just, it has to be done. It's a bit troublesome sometimes, and oftentimes it's the same paperwork because our C1 form is the same, just about goals attained and achieved and targets and everything. So sometimes it's a bit tiresome, but there's nothing I can do about it.
Okay. So in what ways are they troublesome and tiresome?
Because they I mean, all the targets, I don't think from a year-to-year basis there are that many changes in residency goals and targets. We all just want to finish residency, pass the exam, and better ourselves as clinicians and things like that. But it's like for 6 years in a row to write that. It just sounds very repetitive. So that's, and oftentimes it needs to be completed a lot before your 6 months is up anyway, a lot before the 6 months is up. So you can't even really quantify whether your goals are fully achieved because you haven't even finished the 6 months. But it is a MOHH necessary thing. So yeah.
Apart from that, are there any other papers you need to fill up?
It's usually the C1 form, and then sometimes we have to do a reflective entry every year, and then she has to sign all my like leave things, all it's just a lot of paperwork, like mundane paperwork.
Okay.
Like how many days of leave I've taken each 6 months, and whether I've overshot my limit for the residency requirement. And then besides the reflective entry, I think that's about it. Yeah.
Okay. This question surfaced from previous interviews about how gender may affect. So I understand that your mentor is a female. So do you think that will affect your relationship if she wasn't a female?
I think for me, I don't think it will make a very big difference. I think it's more like whether we just are able to talk. I mean, I'm able to talk to some of the male seniors, better than some of the females. So it really is based on a personal
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, different people, and she just happens to be easy to talk to. And sometimes I think in a way it's good that we don't work together very much, so then it's easier for that person to be to play a mentorship role because they're not obscured by how we work together. It's just like kind of detached, like, you know, advising you on how to, without having to say, oh, you know, I work with you on this and then you're not good in this and blah 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 and stuff like that. So sometimes I think it's easier for her as well. But as in for gender, I mean, I really do get along quite easily with some of the other male seniors. So I think it would be just dependent. Like, if you gave me a certain female mentor and I'm really scared of that person, it probably wouldn't work very well
Right.
as well.
Okay.
So for me, I don't think it's a
Okay.
big thing.
So you feel that gender is not that important as long as the person is nice, lah.
Yeah, that's
Right.
which is why I did not specify a gender. I just said someone nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned just now you brought up a point about not working together. So you feel that the supervisor and mentor should be separate.
I can only speak from my experience because I had so when they want to advise you on things like that happen, like mistakes or stuff that happens at work, I guess it's also easier for that person to comment from a not like if they're not involved in it, because then they take a secondary role, like the person who's been involved with any issues with any patient care or anything can talk to you first, and then from her point of view it's like an overview thing, like in the future how do you prevent these things, and so I personally feel like it's easier that way. I don't know. I'm sure everybody has a different experience. Sometimes if you've worked with that person and you have seen firsthand things that are right or wrong, then it's also easier to mentor them in that way because then you can speak on their experience. But for me, I guess in my case, I think it ended up okay that we don't work together that much. Yeah.
Yeah, there's certainly pros and cons of
Yeah.
both ways, lah.
Yes.
How would you describe your experience in this mentoring relationship?
My experience, it's okay. Yeah, sometimes I don't even think it's the mentoring relationship, but like there was a period of time I used to dread having to see her because it meant that I failed another exam or something else had cropped up at work. That's why I need to meet her to discuss what we should do. But the experience itself, she has always remained non-judgmental and very open, so I appreciate that. So I think it has been a good experience because I do think that she has helped me with this journey in residency. Like some other residents may think she's very, very detached and they don't like it, but for me I think sometimes it's good because then she doesn't take every incident or every step back that I face very personally. She's just like, well, it's part of training. If you fail, then if you decide that that's what you want to do, then you just have to try. So I like that attitude because some people will be like, oh my god, how come you're failing? Why does this keep happening? But she doesn't really fret about the small things. She just tells me, if the big picture is that you want to be a pediatrician, then just think about that and remember that, and then whatever comes in your way, we can work through that. So I like her approach to that. And I think in a way that's why it helps lah.
You mentioned that there was a period of time you dreaded meeting her, but this is self-initiated, right? The meetings or not?
Yes, I usually is initiated. I don't think she usually initiates. Meetings. Yeah. So that was because I was failing exams and she's quite senior, so I was just seeking her advice on how to better prepare, better perform during the exams.
Okay. So you already started sharing some advantages of the relationship, but Could we just go through them again?
Oh, the
Mm.
advantages.
Mm.
My particular
Yes.
experience, right? So, one is that she is very non-judgmental and she's very open, so she will just listen and then ask me what my thoughts are and then share her thoughts, so that helps clarify my own thoughts as well, because it's not like she's spoon feeding me and telling me what I should feel. So sometimes when you go, you're kind of conflicted also, so you're seeking advice, and then she helps to clarify what the problems are and what the possible solutions are and how I feel about it. So that's one. And then two, she's experienced in terms of, like, she's actually very laid back about a lot of things. So like things that she thinks I'm being unduly stressed out about, then she'll just tell me anyway, it will sort itself out, but we will help you find out a solution, but there's no need to fret so much about it. So I like that because she's more senior and like more, I think it's just like all beneath her, but she doesn't make it sound like that, but it's just that she doesn't overemphasize on things and she doesn't overcomplicate matters. So sometimes after speaking to her, everything seems a lot simpler. So she helps with her experience. Also, she helps to clarify matters, and it's just guiding me along my path. And sometimes when I feel very unsure, it's good to talk to her. Other benefits, I think sometimes you just need someone to listen to your side of the story without judging you. So she's always quite good at that. Those are the benefits, I guess.
Okay. So on the other side of the coin, what disadvantages have you experienced?
Oh, sometimes it's quite hard to get hold of her. Like I said, she's on leave a lot. But she does she will try to make herself available. And I guess if you go into the flip side, because she's detached, sometimes it's like everything seems very small to her, but she doesn't make it sound like you're freaking out for nothing. So I would just say that I know from my other colleagues that some mentors are very involved. So like literally they will stick their nose into your affairs. So I guess because she's very laid back and I always initiate everything, if I don't bother initiating, then it may be just left to linger lah. So sometimes I guess having a mentor that is a little bit more invested may also be helpful. Because then they will try to just keep updated with how you're doing and things like that. But I personally feel like I like it the way it is, because I don't really like someone always checking in on me. Yeah. But I could see how somebody who's always checking in on you and is more invested would be helpful in your career. Like, I have not done very much research, and she's like, are you interested in research? I'm like, no. And she's like, okay, you need to do it. But like, some other mentors might be, oh, maybe you can consider this, you can consider this, or like, I'm doing this, why don't you do this with me? Yeah, she's very chill. So the push is not that hard also lah. I mean, it's not, so everything is very self-directed, which is good because you're an adult, right? But sometimes when your mentor is a little bit more invested, then the push may be a little bit harder also, which may also help.
So you might appreciate a little bit more push lah.
Sometimes.
Okay.
I guess especially for research.
Okay. So you mentioned that a lot of things seem very small to her. That during your interactions, will you inevitably feel that she's not really addressing your fears or your concerns?
No, because her comms is very good. Her communication is very good. So it's not that, it's just that she'll just try to make it. She'll try to, because she has a broad overview, so she'll try to explain to you why it really doesn't matter that much in the long run. So I don't think she ever makes me feel like I'm bringing up something silly. She'll just go, oh, like that, and then she'll just talk through it, and then at the end of it, I mean, I never felt worse after talking to her lah. Then, so that I think that's a good thing. She always makes me feel a little bit better. Yeah, but I mean, it's more to her, but it doesn't make her, she doesn't go like, oh, why are you so worried about something, it doesn't matter. She doesn't do stuff like that, so it's not a big issue.
So if you were to experience this whole mentorship program again, let's say you're back in R1, is there anything differently you would do?
Well, if I was back in R1 knowing what I know now, I may have requested for someone that I mean, you always work with certain seniors, and some you get along a lot better than others. I may have requested for some other senior, but on the whole, I don't know, I think that I wouldn't be where I am now without her help. So it's hard for me to know that just changing my mentor, what would have changed. Certainly there are other people that I actually talk a lot better with, and I talk a lot about other things with, but they're also very busy, so I don't know how that would have worked out. So I probably wouldn't have changed very much.
So
because when we go into SR, senior residency, we actually can ask to change our mentors. So I didn't.
Okay. And the reason why you chose not to change was?
Because she already knows all my baggage, and it's so much easier than having to explore with someone else. And yeah.
Okay. But at the same time, you mentioned there are people that you also consult informally.
Yeah, there are, but a lot of times now, as you go in this department anyway, you always have a lot more peer support as well, and then amongst those peers, some are more senior than others, so they're closer to the troubles and the problems that we face, so sometimes it's easier talking to them as well for like a now kind of solution rather than a big picture solution, because a lot of the very senior staff, they just go, oh, things can be discussed, don't worry, it's something we'll manage, and like sometimes it's a little bit nebulous, like the solutions they're offering, and it's beyond my grasp. Like sometimes you just want to fix for now, so I think for that usually I just speak to my peers. Yeah, and I have a peer mentor actually. So,
okay.
So he helps as well, and he always texts me, like now I'm in children's emergency, he'll be like, how are you now, blah blah blah. Every time I go into a new place, he'll ask, how are you coping and stuff.
Right. How senior is this peer mentor to you?
He's an associate consultant.
Okay, so maybe just 1-2 years difference. Okay, as compared to this current mentor that you have?
Very senior.
What would you say, like 20 years?
Well, I don't know how old she is.
But she's a senior con already now. Okay, so that puts quite a lot of gap between both of you.
Yeah, I would say like at least 15 probably. I don't want to make her too old, but I mean I don't know how old she actually is.
Okay, this peer mentor is something new. It didn't come out in the previous interviews.
Yeah.
Do all residents have a peer mentor?
No, I think because I have some issues at work, so I have a peer mentor.
Okay,
yeah.
So you have an extra mentor.
Yes, to help guide me.
Okay. So how would you compare the relationship between your peer mentor and this senior mentor?
I'm very sure Sashi's going to know who I am, but so my peer mentor is a friend actually, and was picked by the SR, I don't know what the person is, but like one of the seniors in SR to help me. So it's very, very different because we knew each other as friends before this. And before this already, anyway, when I had any issues, I would already seek help from him.
Okay.
So it is friendship based. It's a bit weird sometimes because then like this friendship now becomes this nagging thing where he'll keep checking in on how you're doing at work, which also changes your
Relationship.
friendship.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, before they assigned him, he asked you if you don't want, I'm okay to, because I don't want it to change our. But inevitably, it does change the dynamics. Like sometimes he keeps nagging, and I'm like, okay, it's fine, like chill. Yeah. So, but it's very, very different because it is a friend. So, like, I can just, like, if I'm having a bad day or whatever, I'll just text him.
Right.
And then things like that, I'll talk over coffee or something. So it's, the accessibility is different. And but again, because he's more senior, the perspective is also different, which is what I need lah.
Yeah. So what I'm getting is that he's more accessible and you can talk to him about more mundane things that you normally would not approach your senior mentor for.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay, actually you already did mention a couple of things you wish could be different, like accessibility of your mentors. Is there anything else you wish could be different?
Anything else? Not really. I guess, yeah, so the accessibility, and that's probably it. Like, maybe if she was a bit more invested, but like I said, like only because I'm lazy for research. But that's about it, I think. Yeah.
Okay. But it seemed like a pretty good match for personality though.
Yes, because I'm very high strung and she's not.
Yeah.
So
wait, then that's the opposite, right?
Yeah, but because then she will calm me down sometimes. Okay lah, I'm not very high strung, but like sometimes I get stressed out about small things, and she's very good at big picture things. So the alternative perspective is good. But where I don't overemphasize certain things, she also doesn't. So that's so we don't hit back on things. It's just that she offers me just a different perspective, and that is helpful. Because sometimes you're so fixated on what you think the problem is and what you think and how it should be fixed, that it's good to hear from her point of view. But we never really, like, I imagine it would be quite disastrous if I believe very strongly in certain things and she completely doesn't, or then it would be very difficult. Okay, so I know why I would like to work. Sometimes I think it's good that we don't work together because correspondingly, if you work with a senior that you actually don't really agree with their management styles and things like that, I think sometimes when they're trying to give you advice, it may be harder to take that advice because you're like, I don't trust your medical acumen or something like that. Whereas for her, I don't really work with her, so I can't really say anything. So whatever she says, it's easier because I don't need to I myself take her advice more easily because it's not coloured by my previous working relationship with her as well. So I think that is helpful because for me, it sounds wrong, but if I've worked with someone and I find their management style or their working style very, very difficult, it's very difficult for me to be mentored by that manner. It's very hard for me to take their advice. It's like a lot, like heaps of salt, not like a pinch of salt. I really have to just grit my teeth and say, okay. So I think that's why in a way detached is good for me because then I would just, like, as in literally it's just a mentor thing. It's not I've worked with you and I don't agree with your working style. Because I'm very headstrong. Yes.
But these are very good points that you brought up. So if you take a step back and look at the whole mentoring experience, how do you think it can be improved? Not just for yourself, but for the whole program.
I don't know if it would help at this, because I have also had colleagues who have had like mentors that they just don't get along with at all. So I don't know if there should be like a trial period or something, like a 1 year, like within your first year of residency, you see whether you really click, rather than waiting until SR, because then that's a lot of years And if you really don't click, it's just a very painful experience because you're supposed to be able to trust this person with whatever problems or whatever issues or concerns you have, and it's if either you don't get along in a daily working kind of relationship, then there is no rapport at all, and everything you're going to say is not going to be true anyway, and so you in effect actually you just don't have a mentor.
Yeah.
Then I think that would be really bad, and I know friends who've had like 3 years or more of someone they just don't, so it's just literally doing the paperwork part.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so I don't know if because a lot of us now it's not such a big problem, but like some of us came in as house officers or things like that, so there really is, you only know them based on like maybe if you had tutorials from them, which is always a different thing also, right?
Yeah.
So for people who have not had the opportunity to work with enough people to know who would be a good mentor for them, sometimes I think maybe a 1-year trial period or something would be helpful, so that after that, if they really don't click, because you see the problem is that if that person has problems and they don't click, because the next time you're offered the changes in SR, you are really as a junior, you're very scared of offending that senior. If you go up to someone and say that I really don't think this is working out, because then you have to work with that person after that, and they'll remember as you are the one who like didn't want me to mentor you, right? Let me show you at work how I'm not going to mentor you. It's always something that is going to concern a junior, so we'll just suck it up and just stick with that mentor when it may not actually be fulfilling any purpose and may actually be doing more harm, because then you think, oh crap, this person is supposed to help me and he's making my life so difficult, which is counterproductive and defeats the purpose of having a mentor. So I suppose that would help. And then I don't know how to make more contact between mentors and mentees, because it's not good to have a compulsory thing as well, because some people just work well on a case, like when you have a problem, you seek your mentor, and sometimes just making it compulsory makes it very tedious as well. So I guess it really has to do with the compatibility of who you're matched with, which you'll never know until like you have worked with that person or you've spoken to that person. And then lastly, I guess you should get mentors who really want to mentor.
Okay.
Sometimes I think some people feel like because they're senior, so they're asked to mentor and they're like, okay, fine, I have to do it. But if they're not really into it, or they just don't want to do it, or sometimes they're just not equipped to do it, then I guess, yeah, I know that there are a lot of trainees, so sometimes it may not be easy to be, you can't be picky, but I think somebody who does not want to be a mentor shouldn't be asked. It should not be like very just for the sake of doing it kind of thing. Yeah, you've asked me, okay, you have nobody else, fine, I'll do it. Because then it's very evident. And some people are just not good at talking to other people. So it becomes awkward and painful. Yeah. So that's what I would say, like people who are being put up as mentors, and then the matching part, that there should be some form of a trial period to make it a better match. Because like I also have colleagues who have like excellent relationships with their mentors, which is really nice, but not everybody has that. So it shouldn't just be a by luck kind of thing. If you want to truly have a mentorship program in place where you're meant to help young trainees develop, then you should not half-ass it. It should be it shouldn't be just for the sake of doing it. And sometimes I think some mentors are just like, okay, yeah, let me sign your paper. What do you need me to do? Okay, I'll chop here. Which is not helpful.
So you mentioned that there's a chance to swap out, right?
Yeah.
but most people don't swap out even
I
if
think
they have
I know some people who really hate their mentors and then they swapped out.
they did swap out.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there people whom in your experience
Don't like them and don't. I
still
don't think
swap
so.
out? No. Okay. So despite the fear of repercussion.
Oh no, this one then they'll say, oh, I'm interested in some spec.
Oh, so they come up with
you
something
have
to cover it up.
Sure,
Nicely.
you have to come up with some excuse.
So it cannot be outright open.
I don't.
No.
I mean, you have to work with these people, right? And they're your I mean, these are cons and SCs or whatever. So you can't just say I don't work well with you, I don't trust your opinion, or I don't. So usually you'll be like, oh, I'm looking into going into this field, so maybe I would like someone who can guide me better from their personal experience. You have to come up with something. Yeah.
Okay. We'll come back to that again for the Asian cultural thing because I think it could be related to that. You also mentioned mentors who really want to mentor. So there are mentors who are in the system because they don't really want to mentor, or do you think they actually want to mentor but they
are not well equipped at it?
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a mix of both.
Right.
Like I think some people are probably just because there was a period where there were a lot of residents. So probably they were just like, oh, okay, fine. If you need me, just put my name in there and just get it over and done with. And then there are some people who I genuinely probably think they're doing a good job. Just it's like a communication thing, right? If you just don't communicate well with each other or you don't get along well, then it's very difficult. Or some people, I know some people really like to preach, but it may not actually serve well. It's well-meaning. They're trying to give advice, but the mechanism or the way they go about doing it, or it's not really conducive to a mentor-mentee relationship. I mean, because I know some people who are not like mean people or anything. They're just not the greatest. Like if you go to them with a problem, they'll just go. Like there's no solution. Maybe they are listening. Okay, so that helps. But like, so I guess some people are just better. Just like some people are better clinicians than others. Some people are better at this some people are just better mentors than others.
Yeah. And you also mentioned that being a good clinician doesn't necessarily make you a good mentor, lah.
Yeah.
How do you think you can equip these mentors?
I don't know. Are there workshops for these things? I have no idea. So equip. I think certain things are innate, and then the second part is whether you really want to go and better yourself and learn how to better mentor. I'm sure there are some workshops. I mean, there are a lot of workshops nowadays, right? Like educating juniors and stuff. So I don't know if it should be compulsory, but I'm sure that's going to put off a lot of mentors because again it's more paperwork and more stuff, that checklist kind of thing. But I would say that some mentors can really benefit from either pulling themselves out or seeking further betterment of their mentorship abilities.
Okay. Do you think having also a peer mentor would be beneficial to most residents?
I think it would definitely be beneficial, but I don't think there are enough ACs around to spread to everybody. But I think it would be because but that means more work for me. Maybe not. Because like an AC to a MO or a HO, we don't have HO anymore. I think we don't have HO residents anymore. So MO may be a bit intimidating also. So maybe a reg to a MO. So it's not, the distance is not so far apart. It probably would be helpful because, and I know that I have one colleague who is a registrar as well, who is, this MO asked her to be the mentor. So I think it would help because the challenges that we face are different at a different level, and the perspective that you can get, like sometimes you're too detached and too far away and you forget all the problems of being a junior doctor. So I do think that a peer mentor actually would be helpful. Yeah, then I'm sure someone will say it's very spoiled, we need so many mentors, blah blah blah. But if you are truly invested in having a good mentorship program, then I think someone who is not so high up actually, and it should be, and I think for the peer mentor, it doesn't need to be instituted so quickly. It should be somebody that you have good rapport with, and someone you can confide in, that would be helpful. Like, I kind of wish I had like a real peer mentor earlier, but I guess, I mean, by now already you have so many peers that you can speak to, it doesn't matter as much, but when you're younger, I think it would be very helpful.
Were there any mentees who chose their own mentor, but in the end it didn't work out? And
I don't think so, you know. I think the only cases like that are if they chose it because they wanted to do some sub-spec,
right,
and then after that they decided they don't want to do that sub-spec. But in my experience, they have chosen well because the people that they have chosen are not very petty, and they are really good mentors because they recognize that it shouldn't be about what they want but what the mentee wants. And so they tell them, anyway, it's your life decision, so if you've decided that this sub-spec is not for you, then I respect the decision because you're the one who has to, and I don't want a trainee who doesn't want to be there anyway. So then again, they have a big picture. It's not like very personal, you know, how come you promised that you're going to do my sub-spec and then I left you a slot and you're so ungrateful and you don't want to take my... I'm sure there are some people like that, but...
yeah.
So at least they chose people who are not vindictive. But generally speaking, I think people... I have even had friends who have... Like, it's not... The mentee is not the sub-spec. The mentor is not from the sub-spec they want to do, but they have a very good relationship, so it doesn't... Yeah. And they really are happy with that mentorship. So sometimes it really feels like the luck of the draw. I think the people who choose, I don't think anybody has really... Because when you choose, generally speaking, you have an idea of what that person is like. So I don't think many people have chosen very badly, as far as I know from my own circle of friends.
So this mentor-mentee relationship is always a one-to-one?
I mean, when we meet, generally it's one-to-one, but the mentors tend to have more than one mentee because there's so many of us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And your own mentor...
And like different batches, so...
Okay. And does your mentor have other...
I don't know that. I never asked her.
Okay.
I actually have not... That's a very good question. I have not met a fellow peer that is her mentee, which is weird. But I mean, we don't talk about other, and maybe it's just that it's not my batch or something.
Okay.
But I'm sure she has.
So you think that she will have other mentees?
Because all those SCs usually have a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just that it's odd because like my other friends who have SC mentors, usually I know a couple of them who have the same mentor. So, and within the same batch, but I don't know.
Okay. Alright, so maybe you can move on to talking about cultural impact on this mentorship program. So we all think that Asians are different from Westerners. So in the way that we interact with each other. So how do you feel about this Asian concept?
In terms of being Asian?
Yeah, okay, so what does being Asian mean to you? As in, what do you think Asians, how are Asians different from Westerners in your... Okay. Are we even different? If we are, how are we different? I guess
if you want to go with the classical, Asians are more introverted and quiet, and they don't voice their concerns out loud, and they're very hierarchical. Westerners are more outspoken, and they're more willing to voice their concerns about perceived wrongs or slights or things like that. So and generally speaking, I would say it's probably right. Like, by and large, we're probably still like very concerned. I'm wasting my mentor's time. I shouldn't be taking up so much of time. This person is so senior. She has so many things to do. I'm sure she has better things to do than waste her time talking to me. Whereas someone, and sometimes you see also in colleagues that are trained overseas,
Mm.
they are Asian, but they have received some form of Western teaching or stuff like that. So then they are more vocal and more able to voice whatever they're thinking, and they seem to care a lot less about hierarchy as well. Whereas people who are trained here, we really believe in like, oh yeah, this is, let me not escalate things, blah blah blah, let me try and handle it. And so I guess that's the Asian versus Western thing. In a mentor-mentee relationship, I think sometimes, even though it's supposed to be a non-judgmental area and stuff, you still can't help but be worried that this person will not be able to compartmentalize what the problems you are bringing to them as a junior, as a mentee, as opposed to something that perceived problems at work and working with them. So we'll always be worried, oh, maybe my mentor had realized that this is a weakness of mine, and now if I bring it up, then she will be more aware of it, and then it's so embarrassing, blah blah blah, which defeats the purpose of having a mentorship, because the whole point is that you're supposed to be able to confide in them. I think when I started out, I was also very worried, because it's just, you don't know this person very well, and the person's very senior, so then you're worried about whether all this information is going to be used against you, or like they'll bring it up some other point of time when you're working, or you always have this problem, why so many years already and you still haven't fixed it. But from my own relationship, she really doesn't bring it up very much. Just more like, if it's a recurring theme, and sometimes when we meet for our meetups and I say it, then she's like, we have discussed this, right? Why is this still happening? But it's not in a mean way. And she's also not, like, she doesn't hold back her comments, she just phrases it in a very nice way. So feedback works, communication works both ways. So I am able to listen to her feedback better, because she is packaging it in a way that's easier to listen, and then that makes me more willing to give her information. Having said that, I think she trained overseas, so maybe that's why she's more open also.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that, let me think of friends who have, because a lot of we don't have a lot of Caucasian seniors here as mentors for Annie, I think. I don't think Dr. Courtney is. Anyway, so it's hard for us to compare on a local basis, but some people who are trained overseas can tell that the way they do it, for example, like Prof. Tash or something, then the way he mentors also is more open. Like, he's very, very free when he talks to his mentees. Like, it's almost like a chatting, gossiping kind of session. So I guess that's how even though we're Asian, if you've trained overseas, or if you are, then your approach may also be different. So I think that also affects the mentorship, because they might have had a mentor that was Caucasian, and then they learn from that mentor how to mentor others. But I would say that, I can see that there would be this concern for juniors, especially about just being able to disclose perceived flaws and problems.
So this is more like juniors always wanting to appear correct.
It's like saving face, right?
Yeah.
It's a very Asian thing, saving face. You just don't want people to know, like, it's like airing your dirty laundry. So nobody wants to be the one that is like the weak one or whatever. So there might be some obstacle there, because we're more Asian and we're more concerned about these things. Yeah.
You think this is very prevalent in our setting, or?
I cannot speak for others. I can only speak for people who have either told me or shared with me. I do think it is, but I think it's a very when you're junior thing. So when you get more senior, then you already work with these people, and you already know that they know,
right,
or they have a rough idea of what you're like. and
Right.
what your working style is, so you're less ashamed or less scared to share any problems, because you realize that everybody has different sets of problems, everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses. So your own weakness may be somebody else's strength, but you may have a strength that is everybody else's weakness. So then we are more open to seeking help, I think. But I think, yeah, as a junior, it probably is a very big thing, because some of like the MOs I work with and stuff, they will be like, oh, my mentor is blah blah blah, I don't want to tell them. So I guess that is where the peer mentor thing would also be helpful. Yeah.
So you feel that this issue is more prevalent in the junior years, but it slowly disappears?
Most of us are very comfortable. I won't say very, but fairly comfortable with our mentors by the time, like, they'll tell them things like, oh, I'm going to get married, or I'm going to have kids, and I'm worried about how to split my, like, they share a lot of information. So I think as we get when we get older, then I don't think it's such a huge problem.
And you also mentioned about residents not wanting to air their dirty laundry, right, by telling by losing face in front of the consultants. You also mentioned, and just now we mentioned about wanting to protect the ego of the senior by not openly saying that you are not a suitable mentor for me.
Yeah.
So do you think that is also related to being Asian, or is just being nice?
I think that in its roots it probably is still related to the fact that we're Asian, and the ego thing, probably, we're just very worried about offending seniors. Whereas someone who is like in a Western culture, it may just be seen as a matter of fact thing. We just don't, like a very objective thing, we just don't seem to click. So I think for my own growth, I should find a mentor that actually helps me and it's not a personal thing. But here we might take it very personally. So I think that might be an Asian thing, or maybe that we have a lot of women in our department, so then I don't know whether it's a very, like, taking it very personally.
Yeah.
So there's that. What was your first question? Something about not airing your dirty laundry, right? I'm pretty sure that I guess nobody wants to show weakness in the first place, regardless of whether you're Asian or Western. But like the dirty laundry thing is a very Asian concept. Like nobody, you need to put your best foot forward, and yeah, I think the dirty laundry and saving face thing is a very Asian thing.
Okay. So these are kind of values that act as a barrier, but I'm sure there are Asian values that actually enhances mentorship, right? What do you think?
Wow. I guess Asian values that enhance mentorship. We're very like if you take someone under your wing, then you consider them the part of your little family and things like that, then they really are. There are mentors who are super invested also. So like they really care about you as a person and sometimes like those very invested kind of mentors, they really will keep bugging you over when you're going to get. For example, it's not a mentor, but my first supervisor when I was a house officer actually said, I'm your supervisor at work, but I also need to supervise your personal life. So are you seeing anyone? And then she started going on this rant, and I was like, which is a kind of an Asian thing, right? They want to see everybody married off and like happy and whatever nonsense. So I mean, I guess it's nice to feel like they care about you outside of work as well. Because at the end of the day, these are people that you have to work with foreseeably for a very long time, and it's nice that they don't just see you as let's just check all the boxes and stuff like that. A big kaypoh, I guess. Like, yeah. So that's a very Asian thing, right? Like when you care for someone and you are invested in their well-being, you feel like it's not just their well-being at work, it needs to be like a holistic thing. So I can see some mentors doing that, and it feels good also, because if you have problems at home and or in your outside life, it definitely will impact upon your work as well. So I guess that helps. I don't have that kind of relationship with my mentor, so I can't really say very much. And I don't know what other Asian-y things are helpful. I guess because we are all very polite and stuff, then we also, so it's a double-edged sword. The fact that we are scared to say things too openly or to criticize, because sometimes what problem you bring up may be a criticism of another colleague who is a senior, which is very difficult to put that senior, your mentor, in that position as well. Firstly, I don't know if they're friends. Secondly, maybe if it's a policy or something, you don't know if they came out with it. So there's that. But then I guess because we're very Asian and we're more hesitant to begin with until we find a measure of how comfortable we are with the person, then we're less likely to offend them. But I can't really think of how being Asian is very helpful in.
So promotes harmony.
Yeah, like we're all trying to be like just don't rock the boat kind of thing.
Okay.
Which may or may not be good lah.
Okay. Okay, so we're nearing the end. So maybe in your own words, can you describe what is your ideal kind of mentorship program?
So in my own words, just a summary of like the various points, but ideally we would have a trial period, and then for people to familiarize or get to know their mentors, and then decide whether this is the best mentor they are. Like maybe they've met somebody else at work that they get along very well with and they feel like will be able to help them better. So I think that would help. And then secondly, I cannot emphasize enough how I think that a mentor should only be a mentor if they want to be a mentor. And yeah, so it needs to be somebody who actually is willing to be there, because let's say if the person doesn't want to be there, it's very hard for them to be a good mentor. If somebody wants to be a mentor but doesn't really have the skills, at least that can be worked upon. And then I guess the people who are assigning mentors should try and, I don't know how they're going to work it out, but try and like match them. And it would be weird to get feedback from the mentees about their various mentors. I don't know how one might, but that might help. But it's kind of, I guess because like we have peer assessment of our seniors that we see and a monthly, for residency every month we assess how teachable or how whatever our seniors are, our consultants and stuff. So some form of evaluation of the mentors, not that we want to evaluate, it's just to see what their perceived strengths but without offending them, which is going to be very difficult. But I think that will be helpful, because you will see that there are definitely some mentors that nobody wants, and nobody wants to say it. So that would be helpful, I guess. I don't know how to institute it in a politically correct manner, but I'm sure it will be very visible that there are certain people who are just not meant to be mentors, even though they want to be mentors. And then I think that's probably it. And then I think the peer mentorship would also be very helpful, especially for junior residents. I don't think we should mandate how often we should meet and things like that. So the rest of it, I think, is just let it flow. So if you pick the correct, like if you have a good bunch of people to pick, and then you allow people to try and find out who they click well with, I think generally your mentorship program shouldn't go too badly. Or if they really are very invested in it, then they should have like clear goals about what they want their mentorship program to achieve. So then it's less nebulous. Because sometimes it really just feels like it's just there for the sake of signing paperwork. Yeah. That's
Okay.
about it, I think, yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much for taking time out to talk about this.